Good evening, good evening, good evening. How is everybody doing today? Welcome to today's live lesson. It is Thursday night here in Tokyo. It's 11 p.m. on the dot. And welcome. I hope everyone's having a great day. If it's Thursday or Wednesday or whenever you're watching this, I hope you're having a great day. I've had a good day. And it's even better now that I am doing this lesson with all of you. If you're watching on the replay, welcome as well. If you look at the title of today's lesson is going to be on grammar. You know, we've been doing a lot of idioms and a lot of phrasal verb lessons. They've been really popular. And I think it's a great way to improve your vocabulary. But it's also important to learn different ways to speak. And a lot of the times, you know, if you want to learn different ways to speak, we do need to study grammar. But lucky for you guys today, we're not going to get too in-depth into the grammar. We're basically going to be doing a lot of speaking today. So this is definitely a speaking lesson. All right, so make sure you keep watching. What we're going to do is we're going to be comparing nouns. And we're going to be using much and many. All right, so as always, I'm going to be sharing my screen for everyone here. You'll see that shortly. Let's see. Let's put the lesson onto the screen. Okay, so comparing nouns with as, and much and many. All right, so we're going to be comparing nouns with as, and much and many. Now, I'll go over the grammar really quickly because I want this lesson to focus on just speaking. All right, so we've got as. Now, if we just use as alone, it means that two things are equal. Two things are equal. All right, so let's say, you know, Tokyo is as busy as New York. That means they're equally busy. All right, so if you do as, it means it's the same. Today, though, we're going to be using not as, because we want to say two things are different. And we're going to focus mainly on nouns, but if you use an adjective during today's lesson, that's completely fine as well. Okay, so how do we make these sentences using a noun? All right, we're going to look at this grammar right here on the screen. I'll try to make it as big as I can so you can see it. Let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger there. Okay, so the pattern that we are going to be using, we're going to start with our subject. All right, and then it's important, we're going to be using not here, not. And a lot of the times in today's sentences, we're going to be using the verb have, but it's not always have. It could be other things as well. Other verbs will be used in today's lesson, but I've just put have as an example verb because it's quite commonly used when we're using nouns. Now, there are two types of nouns we can use. We've got a countable noun or an uncountable noun. A countable noun is something I can count. For example, this is a pen, right? I can count this now. I can count this pen. There's one. All right. It's my little boxing pen here. All right. This is a pen. It's countable. So when I have a countable noun, I will use the word many. I will use the word many. All right. Now, if the noun is uncountable, for example, let's look at my drink here. Inside the drink, we've got liquid. The liquid is uncountable. If I pour this in my hand, you can't count it. So it's uncountable. So with uncountable nouns, I want you to use much. All right, so to follow this grammar pattern, not have as many countable noun, and then you'll have your other noun here. Or not have as much, and then uncountable noun. All right, let's look at the example sentences here, and then we'll get started with you making and speaking. So I don't have as many shoes as Mike. I don't have as many shoes as Mike. So this last noun, it can be a person, place, or thing. So here it's a person. So I'm comparing myself and Mike. I don't have as many shoes as Mike. All right. Second sentence is uncountable. It's ice cream. She doesn't have as much ice cream as him. She doesn't have as much ice cream as him. Right? So whenever we've got uncountable, ice cream, we're going to be using much. Shoes is countable, so we use many. All right, so that's the grammar. That's the grammar, right? We're going to be using not have as many or not have as much. Many times the verb will be have, but we can vary it. So that's all the grammar I want to go over today, because I think when we start making sentences, then you will understand even more. So it's better to practice and try and to then just listening to me. So this is what we're going to do. I am going to give you a chart with two categories, two things, and some information. We are going to compare the two topics. So let's look at the chart. Let's look at an example. All right, so I've got an example here, chart, where I've got the category, I've got students, I've got homework, I've got exams. So we're comparing math class and science class. So in math class, there are 20 students. In science class, there's 25. Math class, there's homework every day. Science class, it's once a week. Math class, there are 3 exams per year. Science class, there are 5 exams per year. Using this information, we'll make a sentence. Now, for example, I've made 3 sentences here. Let's see if I can keep everything on the screen. Let's see. Okay, I think everything should be on the screen right now. Let me just double check. Yes, everything is on the screen. So my example sentences. First one is math class does not have as many students as science class. Students is countable. All right, next, science class does not have as much homework as math class. All right, homework is uncountable. And then third one is math class does not have as many exams as science class. All right, exams is countable. All right, so we always want to put, make sure we put the noun, the 2 subjects in the correct order. All right, so in here, the one that is more comes at the end. The one that is larger is at the end. The one that is less is at the beginning. So this is how you will make the sentences. This is our lesson today. Now, from now, we're going to be looking at a different category. So here in this category, we've got the marketing department versus the sales department. And we are going to be comparing employees, projects, and meetings. Okay, employees, projects, and meetings. Now, if we look at the employees here, so marketing department, we can see has 15. Sales department, we can see has 20. All right, so sales department, there are more employees. So for my sentence here, what I would say is the marketing department, I'm going to shorten it, doesn't have as many employees as the sales department. The marketing department doesn't have as many employees as the sales department. So employees is countable. So it doesn't have as many employees as the sales department. Now, projects. And I'm going to add one word here. All right. So these are finished projects. Finished projects. And let's remove this per month and per month. So I'm changing some of the information on the fly here. So we've got finished projects. Marketing department finished 10 projects. Sales department finished 8 projects. So for this, what is our answer? What sentence could we make? All right, and we can make a past tense sentence here if you wanted. For example, my sentence, maybe if this is, right now the current month, maybe it's the current month. So maybe I can say the sales department, hasn't completed as many projects as the marketing department. The sales department hasn't completed as many projects as the marketing department. All right, Miranda, we've got the sales department does not finish as many projects as the marketing department. Yeah, perfect. Finish. All right. Now here, if you put does not finish, that means always. It's a routine. That means marketing department is always finishing more. If we're talking only about this month, the current month, then my sentence would be better because it's present perfect. The sales department hasn't completed or hasn't finished. If we're only talking about the current month. If it's always, then Miranda, your sentence is good. If it's past, if it's last month, then the sales department didn't finish as many projects as the marketing department. Okay, what about meetings here? Meetings. What kind of sentence could I make for the meetings? So we got twice a week, once a week. So obviously here, let's make this a little smaller so you can see it all. The marketing department is twice a week. Sales department is once a week. So we know that the marketing department is meeting more often. All right, so we could use the verb meet. Okay, we could use meet. We could say have as well. All right, we could say the sales department doesn't have as many meetings as the marketing department. All right, in past tense. So if you're showing this as last month's information, Miranda, the sales department did not have as many meetings, don't forget the S, as the marketing department yesterday. Good. Okay, just don't forget the S. All right, so that's kind of the idea. This is what we're going to be doing. We will be looking at a chart and comparing things. You can use have, which is one of the most common verbs to use. But if there's a chance to use a different verb, please do so. So let's look at the next one here. We've got travel. We're talking about travel, and we're doing John versus Sarah. Okay, John has been to 5 countries. Sarah's been to 10. John goes on 2 trips per year. Sarah goes on 4 trips per year. John's budget is $3,000 and Sarah's is $5,000. Yes, Miranda, perfect. Meetings with the S. Now, for the first one, countries, I want you guys to use, it's current information. Until right now, John has been to 5 countries. Sarah has been to 10. It's not this week or this month or last month. It's in their whole life, their experience. John has been to 5. Sarah has been to 10. So because if we use that information, my first comparison would probably be John hasn't been to as many countries as Sarah. Right? John hasn't been to as many countries as Sarah. All right, and we've got next is trips. Trips, we've got, John twice a year, Sarah 4 times a year. So it is different. All right, Miranda, you used a different one. John has not traveled as many countries as Sarah. Okay, there's one preposition I want you to add, okay? So John has not traveled to. John has not traveled to as many countries as Sarah. All right. So with travel, we need to use the preposition to also, Miranda. John has not traveled to as many countries as Sarah. Excellent sentence. Now, I'm going to add one more sentence here. This is something a little bit different than the pattern, the grammar that I've shown you guys all so far. The other one that I want to show you, I like this style that I'm going to put here. I'll put it in brackets, right? So I could say, John hasn't traveled as much as Sarah. Now, this is a little bit different because I'm not including a noun. I'm not even including an adjective. I'm just using as much as. As much as. So sometimes if we just use a verb, we can use as much as. Okay. Now, John hasn't traveled as much as Sarah. All right, what about number 2, trips? How could we compare the trips? We got twice per year, 4 times per year. You can use any information. This is just your idea. If you want to make any sentence, any words, that's completely fine. Feel free to be creative. So we got trips, 2 per year, 4 per year. Now, I can use the same kind of pattern that I just used. John hasn't traveled as much as Sarah. I could say John doesn't travel as much as Sarah. That's routine. This is a present tense because, it's 4 times per year and 2 times per year. That's a routine. It's a present tense. It's a fact. So John doesn't travel as much as Sarah. But if you wanted to use, a noun, then my sentence, what I would do for my sentence, and I'll label it as answer number 2 here. I could say John hasn't taken as many trips as Sarah this year. John hasn't taken as many trips as Sarah this year. Hello, Dio. How are you? How are you today? Almost perfect, Dio. What you're going to say here is Sarah doesn't go on as many trips as John per year. Okay. Sarah doesn't go on as many trips as John per year. It's actually opposite. John doesn't go on as many trips as Sarah per year. Okay. Miranda, you've got John's trips was not, you changed it to were not as much as Sarah's. Okay. So here, it's tough to make this as your subject. So John's trips is not usually used as the main subject because a trip cannot do an action. So I would, instead of saying John's trips, I would use John as the subject. So John doesn't, travel as much as Sarah. John didn't take as many trips as Sarah this year. Teresa, John hasn't gone on as many trips as Sarah. Yes. Right. Gone on. I like that you added that preposition, Teresa. And long time no see, by the way. John hasn't gone on as many trips as Sarah. All right, what about the budget? How would you compare the budget? Budget is the amount of money that you allocate for a purpose. So if you're going to travel, before you travel, you think about how much money that you want to spend on this trip. So that the amount of money that you decide, that is your budget. So John has decided, his travel budget is $3,000. Sarah has decided her travel budget is $5,000. All right, so $3,000 per trip for John, $5,000 per trip for Sarah. Yeah, I think you'll be fine. Whenever people see a chart, people think, oh no, mathematics. But actually, if you just think, okay, we're talking about money. We're talking about money. There's many ways we can compare this, right? You could say things like, if we just look at it, John, Sarah seems like she has a lot of money. Sarah seems like she has a lot of money. So I could compare using the word money. I could use budget and an adjective. So a bigger budget, smaller budget. So Miranda, what do we have here? John hasn't had as much budget. So here, if we're going to use budget, instead of budget, it's better to use the word money. Money is in the budget, right? Budget is talking about money. So the noun here I think it would be better to use the word money, sorry, instead of budget. Okay. But we could use another verb. Like here, I'll give you guys a hint. Hi, Nancy. How are you, by the way? I'll give you a hint here. I'm going to give you a verb for this one right here. You know, if we're looking at this category, budget 3,000 and 5,000, I want you to try using that verb, the verb spend. So I think once you figure out what verb to use, then it starts to become a little bit easier. So if we've got the verb spend, it becomes easier. So, John doesn't have as much money as Sarah. Yeah, perfect. Teresa, John doesn't have as much money to travel as Sarah. Perfect. So you've added the extra word to travel. Budget. Is budget countable or uncountable? Generally, we're going to use it as an uncountable noun, right? We can use it as an uncountable noun, but at times it can be used countable. And yes, Miranda, budget can also be used as a verb. You budget something. Yeah, I'm gonna budget my trip so that I don't spend too much money. How about using the word spend? So I'm sorry it's for the Miranda. Yeah, it's confusing because it can be both countable and uncountable. I did just double check right now to make sure I was correct. But yeah, it can mean both. So you've got here, John doesn't spend as much money as Sarah. And as Sarah does is fine. As Sarah does is fine. I could make this sentence here. I've run out of space. I'm going to make it as a banner instead. I could say this. John does not spend as much money on travel as Sarah. John does not spend as much money on travel as Sarah. Miranda, John has not spent as much money as Sarah. Good. Teresa, John hasn't spent as much as Sarah. Yeah, perfect. So here I like, because spent is always money. You don't need to put money. So that's a good point, Teresa. But including it is completely fine. I would probably include it, but you don't need to because spend is only talking about money. Okay, I like it. Good job. So even when you think, oh, this looks difficult, just break it down to what verb am I going to use? What noun am I going to use? All right, so we've got an annual gala versus a charity run. Okay, annual gala, it's kind of like an annual event. It's like a party, so a year-end party, and then a charity run. So it's maybe a marathon for some charity. We've got attendees. How many people went to the gala? 200. How many people went to the charity run? 500. How many sponsors were there? 15 versus 10. How long was the gala? 4 hours. How long was the run? 3 hours. All right, so how do we answer these? What sentences can we make? I think the first two will be easy, attendees and sponsors. The last one, the duration. Duration means how long something is. All right, so Miranda, the annual gala did not attend as many people as the charity run. Okay, you're on the right track. You're on the right idea here, Miranda. But remember, the gala is an event. It's a party. So a party cannot attend. So a party cannot attend anything. So attend, it's usually people will attend a party. People will attend a party. So I think using annual gala as your first subject, that's good. But I would change the verb. Don't use the verb attend because the gala cannot attend anything. So Dio, the annual gala doesn't have as many attendees as charity run. Good. Now, only thing I would add for this is both of these events, a gala and a run, I would put the article the annual gala doesn't have as many attendees as the charity run. Yeah, but that's okay. I like that you answered that, right? I think people don't appreciate mistakes as much as they should. I love when I make a mistake because when I notice the mistake or when somebody teaches me the mistake and then I understand it, oh, okay. Now I've really learned something. So good job, Miranda. Don't worry. English is funny, right? We have so many weird rules in English. Good job, Dio. Yeah, perfect. Teresa, the annual gala hasn't had as many people to attend as the charity run. You're almost there, Teresa. You're almost there. Little small correction here. The annual gala hasn't had as many people. No two hasn't had as many people attend as the charity run. Now, if you use this sentence, that sentence without the two is perfect. But what that sentence means, Teresa, is that always, until today, the whole history of these two events, the annual gala has never had more people. All right. So if it's always like that, until now, the whole history is charity run's always been higher, then that sentence is perfect. If it's just one time this event didn't have as many people attend. You're very welcome, Nancy. You're very welcome. I appreciate all of you guys joining. There you go, Miranda. Perfect. The annual gala did not have as many attendees as the charity run. Now, we could simplify it. We don't have to say attendees. Attendees is just people, right? So Teresa had as many people, right? We could say people. What about the next one? Sponsors. Think of the verb you want to use for sponsors. And then after sponsors, if you want to move on to the duration, we got 4 hours versus 3 hours. You can also answer that as well. So for me, sponsors, obviously we can see the annual gala has 15 sponsors. The charity run has 10 sponsors. But for me, the simple verb I would use is have. You have sponsors. You have sponsors. So the charity run doesn't have as many sponsors as the annual gala. The charity run doesn't have as many sponsors as the annual gala. Now, here we're using nouns mainly. I think using nouns, we really test our countable, uncountable. But if you use an adjective, that's also okay. The charity run isn't as popular as the annual gala in terms of sponsors. And Miranda, yeah, past tense. If this was finished, the charity run did not have as many sponsors as the annual gala. All right, I really want to do the last one here, the duration. Who has an idea for this? What sentence would you make for this? You got 4 hours versus 3 hours. I think this is a good one. Yeah, if you use an adjective, it's going to be easier. But if we really wanted to do something with a noun, and then you have to choose what verb we're going to use. I think the easy answer, if we didn't worry about I'm using a noun or an adjective, if I could just use an adjective, I would probably say the charity run wasn't or isn't. I'm going to use past tense. All right, I could just say that. The charity run wasn't as long as the gala. That's using an adjective, so long. Long is often used. That adjective is often used to talk about the length of time. Now, if I wanted to use a noun, then it gets a little bit tricky. It gets a little bit tricky here. So I'll give you my answer here. Okay, this is not the most natural sentence, but it's a good way to kind of test your grammar. That's what I would say. The charity run didn't last as many hours as the gala. The charity run didn't last as many hours as the gala. Okay. Whenever we talk about the duration of something, I really want you to remember duration is often used with this verb, last. Okay. Last is not only an adjective, it doesn't tell you the position of something, but last is also talking about the duration of something. Right. So if you go to a movie, you look at the running time. Oh, this movie lasts 2 hours. Right? If you buy something, let's say I bought a pen. I bought a funny boxing pen, right? A pen like this probably will last me, I don't know, a month, maybe a month. And after a month, I will break this or I'll run out of ink. Right? So last is talking about how long, the duration of something. So please use the verb last. Okay, last. Okay. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next category, the next chart. All right, we've got shopping. We've got store A versus store B. We've got products, customers, sales. Products, 500 versus 700. Customers, 300 versus 450. And sales, 5,000 per week versus 7,000 per week. All right, good job. Oh, let's see here. We got Miranda with an answer for the one before that. The charity run wasn't much. So prolonged is an adjective. So I would say wasn't as prolonged as the gala. So you don't need to put much here. Wasn't as prolonged as the gala. And no, very good. All right, I'm going to try to make this as big as I can so you guys can see it. All right, so, and if you want to make your sentence, you don't need to say store A. Just say A versus B. And I challenge you, if you can think of a different verb instead of have, please do so. I think have is going to be the easiest one. And I'll put my answer with have on the screen. But if you can think of a different verb, please do so. So for instance, for products, I can say A doesn't have as many products as B. A doesn't have as many products as B. Now, I could change this. I don't need to use the verb have. Okay. So we have here, Teresa, A doesn't have as many products as B. Perfect. A did not store as many products as B. Nice. I like it. All right. So store meaning storage. Yes. Perfect. Now, if I wanted to choose even another one, another verb, I could use this verb. No, that's wrong. A doesn't sell as many products as B. Okay, doesn't sell as many products as B. All right, what about customers and sales? Customers. For me, obviously you can say 300, 450. And this is per day. So I like it. I like Miranda. I like that. I like this verb you use. A did not bring in as many customers as B. Good. A did not bring in as many customers as B. Teresa, yes, you can. You can say produce products. Yes. Yes. A did not bring in as many customers as B. If this is a general truth, if it's every day is like this, then I could go present tense. I can say, A doesn't get as many customers as B. A doesn't get as many customers as B. Okay, A doesn't get as many customers as B. And what about sales? Sales. We got 5,000 per week or 7K per week. All right, think of your noun. Think of it if it's countable or uncountable. All right, Teresa, you're almost there. You're almost there. What I would say is produce is your verb, but products is your noun. So make sure products goes between as and as, right? So it's always many or much and noun. So A can't produce as many products as B. Nancy, perfect. There were more customers in store B than store A. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so first, before we go to Dio's answer, Miranda, sales, what does it mean there? So what this means here is sales, whenever you have a store, you are selling something. You are selling something. And after 1 week, we count all of the money. And that is called the sales. The sales. It doesn't mean something is discounted. Sales means the amount of money that I could make, I could get from selling something. So I'm going to go back to my, crazy little pen here. Let's say I make this pen and I sell this pen for $1. And I can sell 100 pens every week. So in 1 week, my sales is $100. Okay, so sales equals the amount of money that you make when you're selling something. And Teresa, perfect. A cannot produce as many products as B. Perfect. So Dio, let's go to your answer. A doesn't sell as much as B per week. So here, sale is a noun. The verb would be sell. Sell. A doesn't sell as much as B per week. A doesn't sell as much as B per week. That's okay. Yeah, just change the sale into sell. Right? So we don't want sale here. Just because I'm sure other people are confused as well. I'm going to make a banner. Okay, so we want to change sale to sell. Sell is the verb. Sale is the noun. Okay, so we've got here, Miranda, we've got, let's see, A did not buy as many products. Products is countable. Products is countable. A did not buy as many products as B. Yeah, so maybe for products, that would be a good sentence. And you already corrected. I saw that. I already saw that. Yeah. Teresa, A doesn't sell as much as B per week. Perfect. A does not sell as much as B per week. Nancy, store B sold more inventory than store A. Yes. Perfect. Perfect. Now, for me, the one, when I see this, I see one noun that I would use. Right? The noun I think I would use is money. Even though we're talking about sales, we've got 5,000 per week, 6,000 per week, it's money. So I would probably say, A doesn't make as much money per week as B. A doesn't make as much money per week as B. You make money, and so, but A doesn't make as much money. A does not make as much money as B. So store A doesn't make as much money as store B. All right, Miranda, A's sales was not as successful as B. Yeah, almost. Change your verb to were, because sales, not apostrophe, just S, S-A-L-E-S. A's sales were not as successful as B. All right, so I could say A's sales I would use this sentence. A's sales were not as successful as B's. Okay. Almost perfect. Almost perfect. Revenue has to go next to much. Revenue has to go next to much. A doesn't make as much revenue as B. A doesn't make as much revenue as B. All right, so word revenue is a great vocabulary word, Adil. Revenue is the amount of money that's coming into the company. The amount of money that's coming into the company. All right, so if you're talking about anything where money is coming in, it's called revenue. And profit, if you want profit, profit is revenue minus expenses. All right, that's very good accounting of vocabulary. Very, very good accounting vocabulary. Okay, great job, great job. Let's look at the next one. We're going to talk about exercise. Exercise, exercise, exercise. So we've got workouts, hours, activities, and we're comparing week 1 versus week 2, right? When you go to the gym, there's the first week you go, then there's the second week, then there's the third week and the fourth week. We're going to compare week 1 and week 2. So in week 1, there's 4 workouts. Week 2, 5. Week 1, 6 hours. Week 2, 8 hours. Week 1, 3 activities. Week 2, 4 activities. And you can choose whichever category you want to talk about. We don't have to go in order. If you want to talk about hours first, that's great. Give me your sentence. If you want to talk about activities first, perfect. Give me your sentence. So you choose whatever sentence you want to write down. And a lot of these we're going to be using, the verb have, I think, but there are some chances to change that. I could use the word include. Include. I can use, I think hours and workouts is probably going to be have. But you can use train as well. Workouts, I think the simple answer here was, week 1 doesn't have as many workouts as week 2. Coney, hey, Coney, how are you doing today? I think hours is a great one. I can give you a really complex sentence for hours. Now, if this is my workout plan, and I'm comparing week 1 and week 2. All right, this is a more complex sentence. I won't spend as much time in the gym in week 1 compared to week 2. I won't spend as much time in the gym in week 1 compared to week 2. I can make it easier. Week 1 doesn't have as much. I won't. Yeah, week 1 doesn't have as many hours as week 2. That's a simple one there. Week 1 does not have as many hours of exercise as week 2. Coney, we're comparing things today, by the way. So we have a category this is working out. It's exercise. We're comparing week 1 versus week 2. We've got 3 different topics: workouts, hours, and activities. I like it, Miranda. He did not work out as much in week 1 as in week 2. Perfect. That's a great sentence. He did not work out as much in week 1 as in week 2. Great, great, great. And we also got activities as well. If I wanted to make something with activities and I wanted to use a different verb, I could use the verb include. Workout can be a noun and a verb. It can be a noun and a verb. So, yeah, I had a tough workout yesterday. Let's go work out at the gym. So it can be a noun or a verb. We've got week 1 doesn't need to work out as much as week 2. Okay, so here again, week 1 cannot do the action. Instead of week 1, I would say I don't need to work out as much in week 1 as week 2. All right, so the person working out is me, it's not the week. All right, so let's make a banner for that sentence there. All right, so I could put that. I don't need to work out as much in week 1 as in week 2. All right, so definitely this is, a much more, difficult and complex way of comparing things. Perfect deal. Perfect. Nice. Coney, I had many activities on week 2 than on week 1. I would just put more here, Coney. I had many more activities on week 2 than on week 1. You need to have the word more in that sentence. He did not spend as much time in exercise in week 1 as in week 2. Okay, really good, Miranda. Almost there. He did not spend as much time exercising in week 1 as in week 2. Okay, if we're going to say as much time, and then we're going to use a verb, that verb is going to be ing. Okay, so as much time, we're going to be using a verb It's going to be ing. Perfect, Miranda. Excellent. And Cody, perfect. I had many more activities on week 2 than on week 1. Yeah, excellent. I could also say this if you wanted. Week 1 does not include as many activities as week 2. Week 1 does not include as many activities as week 2. Yes, Miranda, correct. Teresa, I didn't spend as many hours on workouts in week 1 as in week 2. Perfect. 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 Excellent. So, how many hours did you exercise in week 2? How many hours was 8 hours? 8 hours on week 2. Is it? Can you not see that? Should I make it a little smaller? Is that easier to see? Okay. Excellent. 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 Let's look. Maybe we'll do one or two more. One or two more. Let's look at number 7. We've got Italian restaurant versus Japanese restaurant. We're going to be comparing the menu items, seats, and reviews. And you can use whichever comparison you want. A noun, great. Today's lesson, we've been focusing on nouns, countable and uncountable. If you want to use adjectives, great. If you want to use as, great. More, bigger, smaller, great. Any type of comparison is fine. Coney, yes, perfect. Yeah, if that was a question, yeah. How many hours is perfect? Perfect. That was perfect question. Yes. Miranda, week 1 was not as occupied as week 2 for him. Again, so here, occupied, it's I, not the week 1. So I was not as occupied in week 1 as I was in week 2. I was not as occupied in week 1 as I was in week 2. Okay, so let's look here. We've got the Italian restaurant versus the Japanese restaurant. We got menu items, seats, and reviews. All right, what sentences could we make here? You can choose whichever topic you want. Yeah, Miranda, I like that you said this. It's interesting because in my native language, we can say so. Yeah, in Japanese as well. You know, I live here in Japan, so I do try to speak Japanese. And yeah, we can use week 1 as the subject here. Right? And we can make that sentence. But yeah, in English, we really have to have the person being the subject in this situation. I could say instead of occupied, I could say busy. That would work. Week 1 was not as busy as week 2 for him. But occupied, I would need the person or the I as the subject. Nancy, Japanese had more options than the Italian restaurant. Yeah, 50 options in the Japanese restaurant, 40 in the Italian. That's too many for both. That's too many options. But you're correct. Perfect answer. What about the seats? Instead of using the verb have, is there something else you could use instead of using the verb have? All right. Oh, no problem, Teresa. Yes, sleep. Sleep is important. Have a great sleep and good night. Thanks for joining. Yeah, please watch the rest. We're going to probably do one more after this and we'll call it a lesson. But thanks for joining, Teresa. Have a great night. Have a great sleep. You know, the Italian restaurant didn't get as many reviews as the Japanese restaurant. Yeah. And I would put the here. The Italian restaurant didn't get as many reviews as the Japanese restaurant. The Italian restaurant's menu is not as rich as the Japanese restaurant. What do you mean by rich? Like very thorough and deep? If so, yes. If we're talking about money and expensive, then no. But yeah, if you're talking about thorough, deep, full, then yes, rich can be used. All right, so I'm going to put one for seating. You know, we got 30 seats versus 40. The Italian restaurant doesn't seat as many people as the Japanese restaurant. So not as many meal options. Yeah, you could say that. It's not very common, Miranda, but you could say it. Rich has kind of like this very deep and full of something. So in that sense, yeah, you could use it. The menu is not as rich. Yeah, I like it. I did one for the seating. The Italian restaurant doesn't seat. Here, seat is a verb as well. Okay, you're going to seat someone. You seat someone in the restaurant. But the Italian restaurant doesn't seat as many people, cannot seat as many people as the Japanese restaurant. Okay, good. Let's do one more. Let's end on number 8. I believe 8 is a lucky number. I know 7 is a lucky number, but 8 is also a lucky number here in Japan, I believe. If I'm wrong, please correct me, and I apologize. Let's do number 8. That one's boring. We got downtown hotel versus beach resort. Too easy. Let's do the last one. I like this one. Yoga class versus Pilates class. Coney, yes, the Japanese restaurant has many more reviews than the Italian restaurant. Yes, perfect. The Italian restaurant cannot have as many people as the Japanese restaurant. Perfect. Don't forget to put the and the. And the last one for today, you can choose whatever topic you want here. We've got yoga versus Pilates. Participants 12 versus 8. Sessions is 5 a week, 3 a week, and duration is 1 hour versus 1.5 hours. And I'm going to give you guys some verbs to use. Instead of have, you could use this verb for participants, attract. Okay, we got duration. Last time I gave you the verb lasts. It lasts 1 hour. It lasts an hour and a half. Let's use a different verb now. Let's use run. Let's use run in this situation. There you go. Perfect, Coney. Yoga attracts many more people than Pilates. And then if we reversed it, Pilates doesn't attract as many people as yoga. Perfect. All right. What about sessions and duration? Miranda, the Pilates class does not take place as many times as, don't forget, as the yoga class. Perfect. Perfect. Good. Yeah, you've added it already. Excellent, Miranda. Nancy, yoga class attracts. Don't forget the S. The yoga class attracts more people than the Pilates class. Yeah, so the and the is very useful to put in. The yoga class attracts more people than Pilates class. So add the S to attract. And Coney, yeah, perfect. Pilates doesn't attract as many people as yoga. The yoga class doesn't run a class as much as the Pilates class. So Pilates is less. So Pilates, and here maybe let's say we're at the gym and they've got different classes. In that situation, I would just use the subject they. They don't run or have. I would use this sentence. They don't run or they don't have as many Pilates classes as yoga classes. What about the duration, though? If we use the verb run, we talked about earlier, I mentioned movies, right? The running time is how long a movie is running. Coney, you can say that. Can you also say hold classes? Yeah. Yeah, they don't hold as many Pilates classes as yoga classes. Hold is great. You could use, if you're using people, you could say meet. They doesn't meet as often, right? So 5 times per week, 3 times per week. We don't meet as often. Okay, so you're almost there, Miranda. The yoga class does not run as long as the Pilates class. Right? So we're going to use run as my verb, right? Let's go here. So the yoga class doesn't run as long as the Pilates class. The yoga class doesn't run as long as the Pilates class. So yeah, this grammar, we're getting more and more difficult, but you guys have got it. I think you'll be fine. You're not that far away. Most of your sentences were perfect. Some had a couple of mistakes, so don't worry. So here we've got the verb run. Now I could use it as, I think long is the best one. Is we're using an adjective. So is long a verb, are you asking? Or is it be in long? Long can be a verb, but it has a very different meaning. It means like I like someone, I love someone, I long for you. It means I love you, I desire you. If you wanted to use long using be verb, then we could use isn't. Yeah, like you said, be verb we could use. The yoga class isn't as long as the Pilates class. That would just using the be verb. If we use run as the verb, we could also, you can see on the screen, the yoga class doesn't run as long. Does that make sense, Miranda? The yoga class isn't as long as the Pilates class. The yoga class doesn't run as long. Meaning is the same. We're just using two different verbs. Okay, so run means last. Yes, Coney, you're correct. You are correct. Perfect, Miranda. Excellent. Perfect. I'm glad you understand it. Long can be a verb, but it kind of means I love, desire someone. Parmesh, I'm good, buddy. I'm good. How you doing? Coney, one thing, I shouldn't do this. But I do I do want to tell you, run, yes, it means last. Run means obviously this. But run has another meaning as well. And I don't want to confuse you, but run also means cost. Cost, like the price of something. Right? So if I said, "Yay, so, I really want to buy this pen. How much will this run me? How much will this cost me?" Okay. We usually don't use it for anything cheap. we're talking about something very expensive. So, for example, if if something, my computer is broken, I need to get it repaired, right? It's going to be expensive. So I would ask the repair person, so how much is this going to run me? And then the repair person might say, oh, that'll run you about $1,000, right? It's very sort of not, yeah, it's like slang, American slang, Canadian slang. So it means to cost something. So run is used a lot. Running late. I'm running late means I am late. Miranda, the yoga class does not run as long as the Pilates class. Perfect. Yeah, we use a lot of slang, Coney. Oh, I went out for dinner with my friends last weekend. We were celebrating, he got a promotion or he's getting married, and it was such a great night, but we ran up a huge bill. That means our bill was really, really high, really expensive. We ran up a huge bill. So run is used a lot in many different uses, many idioms, many phrases. Here, you're right. Run means last. Okay, great job, everyone. Great job. I really wanted to do like a grammar lesson where we got to speak and practice making sentences. I've been doing a lot of these idioms and phrasal verb lessons, so I wanted to get back to grammar. I like grammar lessons because it really is how we speak, right? The better you are at using different functions, the easier, the better your fluency becomes. So I'll be doing more of these types of lessons in the near future. So if you want more practice, what I will do is I'll make this, let's see if I can fit 8 and 9. It's super small. Sorry. I hit the close button here. Let me just see. I think this is going to be too small. I accidentally closed the screen, but I'm back. And yeah, this is too small. Okay, so what we'll do, let's just do number 9 here. If you want extra homework, let's look at number 9. You can do number 9 for homework if you want. Yeah, I should be sorry. You know what, Cody? I will write down. I'll make a little document with like how many ways we can use different verbs. Like run, we can use it in this many ways. Get, we can use in this many ways. I'll do that as well. I don't want you to stress out and write everything down. Nancy, excellent. Can you run my debit card? Exactly. That's another way to use run. Can you run my debit card means can you use my debit card? Can you use my debit card? Okay. Let's say you're going to ask me, hey, Shelly, do you want to go out for dinner? And let's say, I'm busy. I have to work. I'm not sure. Maybe my boss will let me go. I might say, okay, just 1 sec. Let me run it by my boss. Let me ask my boss. Okay, that's another one. Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. How many different ways to use run? I just hope it doesn't confuse people. Could I make a video on writing flow? What do you mean, Nancy? What kind of writing flow? Like how to write? I can. I love writing. It's one of my passions. I really like writing. Paramesh, my damaged car ran me a lot. Yeah, it was expensive. Excellent, Paramesh. Okay, so I want to see if Nancy. All right, Miranda. Yes, we're ending now anyway, so don't worry. Thank you so much for joining. Awesome job today, as always. No, I don't write novels. I just recently I finished my master's degree, and I had to write a lot of papers, a lot of research papers. So I really enjoy writing stuff like that. I think I would enjoy writing a novel as well. Someday, I'd like to. I got a lot of ideas about that, but a lot of research papers I really enjoy writing. I just like the flow. I like the logic of how I want to present things. So yeah, I had a really good professor when I was in university who taught me how to write. But I think writing flow is important. How to write, smoothly, so it has a good flow from beginning to end. So Nancy, if you can be a little bit more specific, I can definitely try to make a video on that. Yeah, you know what, Coney, it doesn't surprise me. I think you would be a good writer. Okay, so let's end it there. And Nancy, if you have any more like ideas, how tenses flow. Okay, yeah, I could do that. Yeah, verb tenses, I could do that. I could definitely do that. Let me think on it. Let me brainstorm some ideas, and I will, when I figure out how I want to get it done, I will definitely do that for you, Nancy. You did an essay once, Coney. That's nice. That's nice. That's great. I think the short stories, essays are, it's a great sort of gateway into getting into writing. It's great. Okay, everybody. Yeah, it's 12:30 here. It's probably time for me to hit the sack. I've got a full day tomorrow. Number nine is for homework. If you want more practice for this, I will make it bigger for anybody who's having trouble seeing it. Paramesh, can you give any suggestions for who wants to read a book in the beginning stage, begging stage or beginning stage? Yeah, you have to investigate the research. Yeah, there's a lot of research. Research is what takes the most time, I think. You need so much time to research just to start writing. But yeah, I agree. I think it's a lot of fun. You're welcome, Nancy. You're welcome, Nancy. Paramesh, so can you give me suggestions? You want to read a book in begging stage? So do you want like a book suggestion? I think books are amazing. I think it's such a great way to study English because your vocabulary increases. And if you read a novel, any novel you read, the writers write how we speak. So you're learning spoken English. So I think reading is really, really underused tool. Excuse me. And I think it's underused just because it takes so long for people to read it. People don't know what to read. They read something that's too difficult. Purmesh, let me think about it. Next time we talk, I'll have an idea for you. I think short stories are always easy. They're easier because you can quickly finish. But I think the most important thing is you have to read something that you're interested in. Because if you're not interested in it, it's not going to help you. You know, a lot of people will read, business books because they want to study business English, but they're not really interested in business. So it's hard for them to improve. So I would choose a topic, something that you are interested in, and I would choose a novel. I would choose a fiction novel, not nonfiction. Right? That way you can see how people are speaking. I like, suspense and detective novels. So that's what I would read. So first, narrow down your genre. Like what kind of book, what kind of topics do you like? Wow, you did an essay on whales, its effects in the ocean and importance as an animal. That's amazing. It's amazing. You should send me a copy, Coney. I'd love to read it. That sounds really interesting. Okay, guys, let's call that a lesson. And yeah, Coney, if you want, yes, send me a copy of that. I will definitely check it out. Dio, thank you so much. Good night as well. Good night, good night, good night. I've started reading graphic novels recently. I never liked them before, but I'm getting into them now. Living in Japan, they're everywhere. So yeah, they're not bad. I would probably prefer a traditional novel though. All right, detective books. Okay, that helps, Parmesh. Let me think. Let me look at some different stuff, and I'll give you an idea next time. Okay. Like I'm currently reading a book. It's called The President's Daughter, and that was a book. It's co-written by former President Bill Clinton, and I've just started it. So far, so good. But okay, guys, I could keep talking. If you guys are wondering what I was drinking a Monster, an energy drink. So I could keep talking, but I know I need to probably go to bed now. So thank you guys all for coming. Nancy, I will brainstorm ideas for you. Paramesh, I'll think of a good book for you as well. And Coney, yeah, send me your paper. In the meantime, the next lesson will be Saturday morning. And if you can join, that'll be great. If not, watch it on the replay. And I'll have some other bunch of videos coming out as well soon. I'm just editing them all right now. So check those out as well. And if you have any lesson requests like Nancy, just let me know. Let me know and I'll make them. All right, guys. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you guys all on Saturday. See ya.